Yeah, we are at Nimrod, the biggest and most well-preserved medieval fortress in the country, built in the 13th century, originally by the Ayyubid dynasty. The Ayyubids were the descendants of Saladin. Saladin, of course, is the guy who kicked the Crusaders out of Jerusalem in 1187, although the Crusaders were able to hang on in various other places all the way until 1291, but this place was built about 1268. It was expanded on by the Mamluks during those years. And we are right now in what is known as the Beautiful Tower, named by the archaeologists as such. It's not its traditional name because it's an extraordinarily well-preserved, beautiful tower.
Very nice. And why are we here for your walk right now?
Okay, we are here because this is where I'm actually starting to walk. Okay, the official starting point of the Israel National Trail, the Shvil Yisrael, is at Kibbutz Dan. But you can do a little addition starting from Mount Hermon, where we filmed yesterday. We decided that starting from there was just going to be a little bit of a time issue, so we drove up there in the car. Spent last night at Moshav Shar Yeshuv, about 30-minute drive from here. And today I actually start to walk from Nimrod down to Banyas and from Banyas to Dan.
And how are you feeling?
I am a nervous wreck. I am totally a nervous wreck. I'm very, very excited.
Yeah.
But I am on the verge of a nervous breakdown.
Why? What is it exactly that you're nervous about?
Okay, well, for one thing, I am 51 years old. I have not done any serious trekking in over 20 years. I'm going to be walking around with an incredible amount of weight on my back. I also, the last couple weeks in Jerusalem, as we got the equipment and got ready to go, I watched probably 36 YouTube tutorial videos on how to work with the gimbal, how to shoot videos, how to cut them together and edit them, and I can't figure this stuff out at all. Remember, I am a person who is so technologically inept, I need to call tech support to plug in basic kitchen appliances. And I thought watching the tutorials I'd have it down in a week or two, and I still don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I also am not used to being on camera, and I think I look like a jackass on camera. So I assume over the course of the trip, I'm going to get better at all this stuff, but I wanted the launch to be perfect. So, and yeah, just basic stuff. Stuff I never used to worry about when I was trekking. And by the way, I haven't talked at all to the camera about what my experience is trekking. When I was a teenager, I used to do month-long treks in the Rocky Mountains, in the Absaroka and Beartooth Ranges in Wyoming and Montana. Obviously, I did a lot of, it's not exactly trekking, but marches with a lot of equipment while I was in the Army. I did some fairly serious trekking in East Africa, in Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Eritrea. But that was 1996 was the last time that I did any serious trekking. About 2 years ago, with a couple tour guide friends, I did the Jesus Trail over the course of 3 days. And my back was out for a week after that. And that could really mess up this whole expedition. Now, I will say I was using basically borrowed equipment, and it was, the pack was not well balanced, and I didn't have the greatest boots for that, so I'm hoping that will compensate a bit for this. But yeah, I'm nervous about everything. I'm nervous everybody's going to hate the videos. I'm nervous, I don't know. It's already a 11:15 today, and I haven't even started walking because I keep procrastinating, which means I'm probably not going to be out of Banyas until 3 o'clock. So I won't make it till then until the next day. But that's okay. We don't have a set end point for the whole project. I mean, this is going to take me as long as it takes me. If it's a comedy of errors, I guess it will be very entertaining for the audience.
I mean, personally, I feel like, you have put a lot of time over the last few weeks into trying to get the pack balance, trying to do your research on what's going to be lightest to take, all that kind of stuff. And a lot of it is just going to be down to experience, especially with the editing the videos. Like you can't learn that stuff until you just sit down and start fiddling with all the buttons.
Right, and I'm petrified to even attempt it, so I have to get over that in the next day or two. And then with any luck, the videos will start getting a lot better and a lot more professional looking and a lot more entertaining. Now the weekly videos, we are using a guy named Phil Halbrook he's an American expat living in the Philippines. I hope I'm allowed to talk about that.
He hasn't said not.
Okay.
He asked, so.
Well, he'll cut it out if he needs to. And I'm just going to send him tons of raw footage with basically a script and a storyboard telling him what I want to be put out there, and he's going to cut it together into some professional looking stuff. But part of what I promised on this is like actual tours as if you're here with me on the site as I walk around sites, and I just don't have a sense, so please, all the feedback is completely welcome. Please be gentle with my delicate feelings. But how these things are going to look, how they're going to come across to the audience.
So that's a little about how you would normally tour guide and how that's different from doing it on film.
Well, okay, so I still can't explain this. I tend to get very nervous and freeze up every time the camera goes on, and that never really happened to me tour guiding in person. I don't know, maybe just because I've been doing it since I was in my early 20s. But there's also an aspect where I play off the audience. I can gauge by looking at them whether they're enjoying it, whether they're bored. I can adjust my stuff. If I'm telling a joke, I can hear some laughter. I know things are hitting right. And the camera is just this sort of soulless beast that doesn't give me any feedback, right? And, also, I think in the back of my head, it's when I'm walking around the site and I'm not talking in between, in stretches where we're going from one part of the site to another and I'm not talking, well, people are looking around, they have beautiful stuff to look at, people are asking me questions. You don't get any of that with the camera. I mean, obviously I can move the camera around to look at the best stuff, but I don't have a sense about whether people are going to enjoy it or not yet.
Okay, I understand. And I suppose also there's a sort of needs to fill in those gaps in time which you wouldn't necessarily have because people will be coming up and asking questions. So do you feel like you need to keep talking consistently or not really?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm talking too much or not enough. Again, because I don't have a live audience to gauge it by and to sort of work off of. I've never done actually I did stand up once and I bombed terribly and I've never tried it again. But I imagine it's probably got to be like that for stand-up comedians. It's like you can have a terrible experience with an audience, but you can have a good one because you can see what's landing and what's not. And if you're just talking into a camera, you really don't have any idea.
Right.
Like, is this flying? I mean, I don't know. So we'll figure it out. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of comments and a lot of feedback.
What are the things you're looking forward to on the trip? Because you've got, 4 months, you've got the entirety of Israel. Is there anything in particular that you're really I'm really psyched to be getting to that scene or that place, or even just to have that experience? It's all sort of fantasy in my head right now about how it's going to go. I imagine the first time I catch sight of the Mediterranean is going to be a big deal when I can get down to the Mediterranean and take a swim. We are doing this in the middle of winter, so that's depending on the weather. I swam in February and it was perfectly warm.
Okay, well that can happen. It can also be a horrible stormy day. Coming into Jerusalem is going to be a big deal, I think. As much as I love going out traveling and outside of Israel, all around Israel, everywhere, I love Jerusalem so much. It's always kind of hard for me to leave. And I always love coming back and just the idea of coming home. I think it's likely, just like yesterday when we ran into Mary Eisen, that at various points along the way I'm going to run into people I know, and that was a big kick the other day. I am really a lot of people don't like the desert. I love the desert. I love up north here too, where it's green and everything, but the sort of the isolation, the solitude of the desert and all of that, like Lawrence of Arabia said, I like the desert, it's clean. I'm looking forward to my time down there. It's also one of the only places where I'm liable to be alone and not hitting the civilization for more than 24 hours, and we'll see how that goes. So.
Cool. Are you worried at all about water and that sort of stuff on the way, or is it?
Not in the first part, really. Until I get down to the Negev, there's going to be very few times where I don't have an opportunity to refill water every few hours, right? I might have to get off the trail, like walk an hour off the trail to get up to a road, to go to a gas station or something like that. But I pass by kibbutzim, moshavim, national parks, all kinds of places. That's in the beginning of it. Look, you always have to be careful about water wherever you're hiking, but that's not a huge safety concern. Down in the Negev, where you have long stretches and it's liable to be super hot, and there's certain places where you have to have people deliver you water or set up water caches. Yeah, that's anybody who hikes the Negev, Shvili Israel, or any other Negev hike, I mean, should be concerned about that. It's also because we're doing this in winter, flash floods are a big issue down there. But generally speaking, the Nature and Parks Authority and the Israeli police always have very good warnings, and usually people post it at the beginnings of the wadis, the small canyons where that's the real danger. Anybody going to hike the National Trail or anywhere else in Israel, in the Negev, never ever go into a wadi if there's a chance of heavy rain. It's incredibly dangerous, and we'll talk about some of the disasters that happened there when we're down there.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the near miss that you had a couple weeks ago, or not?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, no, I don't really want to talk about it, but I will. It was a good lesson for me. Look, even though it had been a long, long time since I'd done any serious trekking, I'm an experienced hiker, okay? And I've done a few other things in my life. You know, I don't love shooting guns recreationally, but in the Army, I certainly spent a lot of time on the firing range, and I have done some recreational shooting. I also scuba dive. I've also skydived. And what I know from all of these kind of activities that a lot of people think are super high risk is, as long as you follow all the safety procedures religiously, there's very little danger to it. If you start messing around with the safety procedures, all of a sudden it becomes very dangerous. And if you check the statistics on these things, bad accidents in any of these activities, sailing is another one, rock climbing is another one, mountain biking is another one. The statistics tend to show that it's the most experienced people who have the most and worst accidents and fatalities. Now, there's two reasons for that. One is, statistically speaking, the more times you do something, the more chances you have for something to go wrong. So people who do it all the time are increasing, their chances. But the real reason is mostly that when you're super experienced at stuff, you start getting a little too casual about safety stuff. You start ignoring, you say, it'll be fine, which I say all the time, right? And then you find yourself in a situation. So 3 years ago, when I was preparing to take a group on a hike down Nahal Amud, which is also on the trail. It's a beautiful hike. We'll be there in a week or something. I just got very lazy and very casual, and I did just about everything that you could possibly think of wrong, and I very nearly died. Okay, I left way too late in the day. I didn't take enough water. I didn't tell anybody where I was going. I didn't bring spare contact lenses. I lost a lens on the trail. I got lost off the trail on a very steep cliff with loose soil on it that I almost went off. To get back on the trail, I had to go through somebody's bullpen in a nice little Arab village that you'll see on that trail, the village of Akbar. I got charged by a bull and only got out of the enclosure in the nick of time, and wound up nearly passing out from dehydration on the highway. That was a really good reminder. Take this stuff seriously. I'm not making any of those mistakes this time. Okay, when I do the it'll be fine thing, it's mostly because I don't want to be dealing with learning how to do the editing or stuff like that. The safety precautions we're being pretty good about.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So should we continue walking around Nimrod?
We'll look around Nimrod, and then
you're going to say goodbye to me on the trail then.
A big moment, yeah.
Yeah, it's already 11:30. I gotta get going.
I've got to drive back to Jerusalem.
You gotta drive back to Jerusalem.
All right.
Okay, thanks for joining me, guys. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, but also don't forget, hit subscribe and share this video, and there's going to be tons more coming. Obviously, Josh is gonna at some point master editing and figure out how to get some of the stuff, because we've
we'll
shot
see
quite a
about
lot.
that.
Oh, you will. We've shot quite a lot in the last 2 days even. So,
Yeah, so
that will come.
The first at least few days, and maybe first week, the videos might come out a little bit out of chronological order. Bear with, things will get adjusted and we'll get doing it right. And you can follow me also on Facebook at Josh's Epic Israel Walk or at Vagabond Tours. You can follow me on what, Instagram?
Instagram and YouTube, basically, the
Right.
2 big ones right now.
Okay.
And at some point we might bring in other stuff, but I think we'll stick to that for now. But don't forget to, as I say, share the video with your friends so that they can see it too, and hit subscribe. to
Hit
the
like
video
and subscribe.
and all of that, so that you watch on every single YouTube video.
You guys know what to do to help us out with this.
There, or maybe there. Alright, thanks guys.
Thanks for joining us. See you on the trail.